Chapter 10. Amethyst! Clark yanked his pistol from its holster to fire at the flying craft, and the bullets pinged off the smooth blimp. Clark fired again, this time toward the balloon. The wire swung down, empty, and swooped toward him. If it got him, too, he wouldn't be able to save her. Clark leapt from its path and rolled through the dust, missing a neighing horse. The prongs dug a hunk of dirt from the road before recoiling. On his back, he aimed at the opening in the blimp's underside, where the wire emerged and fired again. The bullet pinged off something inside. With a hiss, the wire disappeared into the interior, and the airship shot over the town, the wind from its propellers rattling the shutters on the windows and shaking the buildings. Brass glass! Clark somersaulted to his feet, a short curl falling over his forehead. What was that thing? If they didn't know, they couldn't find Amethyst. Of course, his new sibling would be kidnapped by a flying machine. Of course. That thing took my son! A man yelled from the saloon entrance. Somebody go get him! Another spirit appeared beside Clark. Instead of a bullet hole, blood smeared around his mouth. He carried a top hat and wore a suit, unlike the usual ghosts Clark met in his travels. Clark ground his teeth. He didn't have time for the dead to pester him. It's a Marquet, the spirit said in a smooth voice. The accent reminded him of Garth's, where the A's were pronounced as long A's. Clark, where is she? Georgette staggered through the spirit to grab Clark's jacket. The ghost shimmered before it solidified again. I don't know. Clark wrapped his arm around her trembling back so she could press her face into his neck. At least he could provide her a strong arm to lean on while they planned. We'll get Garth. Her breath smelled of peppermint tea. Amethyst had smelled like that. His heart constricted. His own mother had smelled of alcohol and the rag she'd rubbed on soap to clean her teeth. Garth will fix this. Georgette's voice wobbled. What if it had been the army? They might have been trying for Clark and missed. Being a treasure didn't come with a safety seal. Only he couldn't leave them now, especially if Amethyst's kidnapping was his fault. Garth slammed his fist into his desk. When one of those things flew over the ranch, I sent some of the helpers for the sheriff. He doesn't know anything. He'll call the army, Zachariah said from beside the fireplace. They'll figure this out. Clark stiffened as the office air closed around him. Someone from the army might recognize him. They had to hate how they couldn't arrest him for experimentation a little more each day. You never seen anything like that craft? There must have been two of the airships, if one hit Cogton and the other attacked the ranch. The wire from the one had torn up fencing and rammed a hole in one of the barn roofs. Never. Jeremiah slammed the door to the office gun cabinet and rammed bullets into a rifle. When I find that thing, I'm going to fix it good. Garth! Georgette shrieked. They have our daughter. You can't wait for the bloody army to come along. Yes, exactly. We need to act before they get too far. Clark raised his fist. We can follow the tracks. They blew enough dust around. We should be able to find something. Find them before the army arrived. Save Amethyst before anything deadly happened to her. Nolan, the bromie from the kitchen, knocked on the open office door. Master Treasure, there's a fella here to see you. Master Horan. Bloomin' gears. Garth wiped his hand across his flushed face. What the dickens does he want? Send him in. I don't have time for any more games. Maybe they attacked his ranch too, Zachariah said. Clark rested his hand on his pistol. Jacob Horan couldn't be there to offer help. Have to see. Garth stormed around his desk as Horan entered with his top hat in hand. The man grinned to reveal golden front teeth. Howdy, neighbor. Heard you had a bit of trouble. So did Cogton. Garth inclined his head in what might have been a greeting, or a threat, if his narrowed eyes counted for anything. Would be a real pity if that girl of yours got hurt. Horan patted the pocket in his pinstriped suit. A crying shame, you could say. It had happened an hour ago. Clark stepped away from the wall. How'd you know the thing took Amethyst? He and Georgette hadn't been able to report it to the sheriff, since he'd been on his way to Treasure Ranch. They hadn't told anyone until they'd arrived, when the sheriff was leaving. Horan chuckled. His beer belly bounced, straining beneath the jacket's single diamond button. Is this the surprise, bastard? I'm shocked, Garth. Thought you flaunted your morals too high for a quick romp. Georgette gasped, and Jeremiah aimed his rifle at Jacob Horan's head. Careful what you say about my family. Lower that.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.